Folks.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Tuesday, November 28th. Your top stories right now, 6 a.m. on the East Coast. Today, the Middle East ceasefire extended for at least 2 more days as 10 more Hamas hostages are released. But the White House admits it has very little information on the condition of any of the Americans still trapped by the terrorist group, or when and if they will be released. Everything you need to know all morning long. Markets this morning are moving mixed. This morning, we're looking at the retail sector after Cyber Monday and a mixed shopping weekend after Thanksgiving. The Dow Industrial's up 7, the Nasdaq down 4.5, the S&P 500 negative by 2 points. We are awaiting more quarterly earnings out of retail this week. We're also previewing the second read of third quarter GDP out tomorrow morning, and the Federal Reserve's preferred reading on inflation with the October PCE index out on Thursday. The expectations there on the screen. European markets, meanwhile, are in the red. Take a look at the Eurozone this morning, where the FT 100 in London is down 28, the CAC 40 in Paris is down 36, and the DAX index in Germany lower by 11 points. And in Asia overnight, a mixed story there. In the Asian indices, take a look. Overnight, the Kospi index was the best performer in Korea, up better than 1%. The others moving fractionally. Meanwhile, more misinformation from the White House, which is now claiming that Americans' economic worries are not a joke, blaming Republicans for continued stubborn and elevated inflation. Joining the conversation all morning long this morning, cyber and technology expert Krysia Lenzo, Fox Business' Cheryl Casoni, and the Lonsky Group founder, John Lonsky. Mornings with Maria is live right now. And the news of the morning, more hostage negotiations underway and expected this morning after Israel and Hamas agreed to extend the ceasefire by 2 additional days. 11 more Israeli hostages, including 9 children, were freed overnight, bringing the total now to 51 people released over the last 4 days. Israel reportedly receiving a list of 10 more hostages due for release today. Cheryl Casoni, your reaction.
Well, Maria, obviously this is good news for those families, but more and more there's concern. In particular, you're hearing this from several spokespeople with the IDF. The concern now is that the more time Hamas has, the more time they have to regroup, retrench, and basically rearm themselves. All that aid that's going through from Egypt, the Rafah crossing going into Gaza. Look, we don't know if those trucks are going to be steered by Hamas and taken over. There have been some online reports that Hamas has blocked some of those trucks because they want that aid. They don't care about the Palestinian people. Let's be clear. The other thing, too, is that Israel is really sounding the alarm about the fact that these children that are being released without their parents, one of the initial parts of this deal that Hamas agreed to, that Qatar negotiated, was that they were actually going to keep the mothers and the children together, release them together. Hamas has already broken that agreement. So, you're negotiating with terrorists, Maria. Every day is a new day and a new set of concerns for the Israelis.
Yeah, it's true, Cheryl. And, John, there's a saying, when the tide comes in, we can see who's naked. Unfortunately, this whole episode has allowed us to see who is really on the side and supportive of the Jews. It's a very troubling op-ed this morning in the Journal that says Democrats want conditions on Israel. The senators on the Democrat side are urging that Israel follow certain rules before the aid is sent. Israel agreed on Monday to a 2-day extension of the truce with Hamas, the Journal writes, to gain the release of more hostages, a priority of President Biden. But another idea is gaining ground among Democrats that is more dangerous: condition U.S. aid on how Israel conducts its war of self-preservation. The stipulation said to merely that Israel follow international law, the Journal writes. But since Israel does follow international law, the U.S. already can withhold foreign assistance on human rights grounds. The condition is unnecessary, writes the Journal. Newly released grant records show the George Soros-backed foundation to promote open society gave $250,000 in 2022 to, quote, Education for Just Peace in the Middle East, a charity that reportedly has ties to Hamas, John.
Well, this is shocking news. I can't believe the conditions the Democrats are placing on the state of Israel. After all, in this situation, Israel is very much the victim. What's going on right now in Gaza is in response to that invasion of Israel by the terrorist from Gaza. So, it's lopsided. It's almost as though we're in a situation we're trying to level the playing field to try to give the terrorists in Gaza some sort of chance to get out of this without suffering all that much. It doesn't make any sense to me what the Democrats in the U.S. Congress currently propose. And my goodness, you have, George Soros coming out and supporting this organization that is allied with the terrorists. I can't figure that one out at all. After all, Soros suffered greatly when he was held in a Nazi concentration camp back in the 1940s, World War II. Perhaps he doesn't really know what's going on.
Well, and it's so incredibly hypocritical. Where is the outrage, Krysia, that George Soros gave $250,000 to this group tied to Hamas? Where is the outrage? Well, maybe Democrats don't want to get upset publicly because that might affect the donations that they get from George Soros.
Exactly. It will affect their donations. But George Soros never misses a beat when it comes to being on the wrong side of history at every single moment. It's not only this $250,000. He's given over $15 million to foundations and to charities that are openly supporting Hamas and pro-Palestinian protests, which are calling for the eradication of Israel. So this is lockstep with where George Soros has been all along, with his son Alex, who is now claimed to be even more radical in terms of where they stand. We have to follow the money. But look, even Joe Biden, he gave $6 billion to Iran. So this is very much in line with what we're seeing with the Democrats overall.
Wow, great point.